Well, it's another nice day in Arkansas today. Don't ask me why, but it's great. So I'm heading back to the shop and we're going to get that latch solenoid put back in that Tormat Electrical Selector. I want that thing finished up today. But before I put it back together, I decided to go ahead and get rid of these old spindly, crappy looking wires here. And we're also going to remove these two and probably shorten these up to back here and run some really nice wires from our latch solenoid to the rest of the wire bundle. I don't want any problems with that later on, you know, after doing all this work. I'm not gonna screw up on the details, okay? We now have all new wiring connected to our latch solenoid, running over to the both sides of the resistor plus on down the line from there. But, you know, did I mess anything up in the process? You know, there was quite a bit of heat had to be applied to these two, and when I put it back in, I put it back in with heat shrink to cover the terminals. So, it ohms out. It's still 5.5 ohms, so it should work. So right now I've got an electrical cord plugged into my outlet, which is controlled from my Variac. This thing is connected to the 25 volt winding on the power transformer, so 25 volts operates it. And the other end of that electrical cord I've got connected or plugged into there. I've got alligator wires connected to it, and there was just nothing on the end of the wire to begin with, so I said, well, this will work great, you know. So, and then I've got a multimeter probe connected into one of the in the red one here, okay. The reason is so I can just kind of touch in there. Okay, the black side of that electrical cord is connected to, let me zoom in here, is connected to here. And we're going to go ahead and touch this side over here. And I've only got, let me see, how many volts have I dialed in here? I've got, it takes 25. I've got 22. There's what I got dialed in. There's no need to go all the way up to 25. All right, here we go. On this side of the wire going into the unit, and on the other side. Now I'm just going to take this and touch that black wire where it's connected, and if this relay chatters or goes in and out a few times, we'll know we're good. There we go. I'd say she's working great. I know we have been spending quite a bit of time on this thing of late, but you know, this is a very, very important piece of the overall machinery, you know, just like the amplifier. If you don't have an amplifier, you know, this thing is nothing but a big giant phonograph. Matter of fact, there was a old TV show years ago back in the 50s. It was called Your Hit Parade, and the top 10 songs of the week, and they based that on surveys and things like that, record sales, and one other thing. It was, I believe it was coin-operated phonographs or something like that, which they meant jukeboxes. There was never any rock and roll on the show, which really upset the young generation, but I'll see if I can dig that commercial up and let you see what that, or that lead in to the show, and let you see what that was. I'll show it, hopefully, next.
Be happy, go lucky, be happy, go lucky, strike, be happy, go lucky, strike today.
Lucky Strike presents Your Hit Parade. The top tunes all over America, as determined by Your Hit Parade survey, which checks the bestsellers in sheet music and phonograph records, the songs most heard on the air, and the songs most played on the automatic coin machines, and accurate, authentic tabulation of America's taste in popular music. Your Hit Parade.
Well, that was it. That's the kind of shows we looked at when I was a kid. But anyway, back to this. I know I'm taking quite a bit of time on this, but you know, I want it to be super righteous before we move on. I've got other things to do, and I don't want to have to come back to this at a later date because I failed to do something. You know, once it's done, it's done. We have one more thing to do, and that will be it. We can wrap it up and move on to the next item. One of our subscribers said, what about this capacitor? Is this original? Well, yes, it is. And he said, you know, did you test it? Well, no, I haven't. I probably should. You know, there's only 3 electronic components in this entire setup. It looks complicated at first, but it really isn't, as you probably already noticed. Just a bunch of hard wiring is all it is. But the only electronic components are this capacitor, this resistor, and over here, buried down in there, is another resistor. They're both 10-watt resistors, okay? This one is 100 ohms, and this one is 65, and I ohmed them out, and they are good. So, should we leave it just like it is, or should we go ahead and test this capacitor? Well, of course we're going to test it. Matter of fact, I don't even like the looks of these solder joints. So you probably can't see it very well, but I'm going to take these wires off and resolder that, especially this one here. It just looks tacky. And then we'll test it with our little tester and see what we get. It's supposed to be 0.02 microfarads. The capacitor is out. I decided to go ahead and take it completely out and remove all that old nasty solder off those contacts. I just didn't like it off those terminals. And we got it in our little tester here. Let's find out what it's supposed to be, a 0.02 microfarads. Let's see what we get. 16.53 nanofarads. Well, we're going to have to convert that to microfarads because we need a 0.02. So that's 16.53. Let me see, back up here a little bit. So that's 16.53 nanofarads. We want to convert it to microfarads, so we move the decimal point 3 places to the left. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, what we have is 0.01623 microfarads, which is just short of a 0.02. If this had been 20 nanofarads, and we moved the decimal place 3 times to the left, it would have been 1, 2, 3. It would have been 0.02. So we're just a little bit shy, not quite 20%. And I think that's going to go ahead and work. I'm not going to change that out. I'll just put that baby back in there. And we're going to run with it, and we're going to call this little part of our project done. I also took some time to wrap the weak wires. They were just all this insulation, or not insulation, but just a webbing cover had disappeared all the way down to here over the years on this one, and it had disappeared all the way down to here on this one. So I put some electrical tape around it to give it strength. It's not an insulating factor. I want it there for strength, you know. It'll hold the wires together. If someone were to pull too hard on 1 or 2 of the wires trying to get this plug out, they would just pull them right out of the socket. I don't want that to happen. And the next thing we're going to have to work on is this light bulb. You'll see that someone has done a little bit of work on this over the years, and they used electrical tape to insulate it with. Well, we're going to get that old nasty crap off there, and I don't know. I'm going to see if I can't do something different. Probably not, but we're going to give it a try. Well, it turns out not to be so bad after all. Once I got this old mangy tape off of there, I found out that there is a nice piece of heat shrink on there, and all they really did was tape the 2 wires together. But they put they made a mistake in my mind. They put the electrical tape down here to hold them together instead of starting it back here and then working their way all the way up. This was and they used really thin, narrow, I guess not so wide, electrical tape. So what I'm going to do is just leave it. I gave it a good cleaning with alcohol and a brush. I'm just going to go ahead and start back here and work my way all the way up and get it taped a lot stronger than it was. Alright, that's the way I thought it should have been done to begin with. Now both wires are protected, and we have good sturdy support all the way up on that. Right now I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing in a towel, stick it out in the garage, but there's one thing I wanted to point out before I did. I should have mentioned it. The voltage that operates this latch solenoid is AC voltage. The voltage comes off the secondary of the power transformer. It is not rectified. It comes straight to here, 25 volts AC. Keep that in mind. So, moving right along, we now have our keyboard screwed in. It's now on there, no problem at all, and the metal black thing, and underneath is the chrome, and that's all on. The spinner around. I got all these pieces of parts put on finally, and this is what we're looking like in the back. That's looking real good. This thing here, this plastic light diffuser, will go on top underneath the clips here, but I don't want to really put it on until after I get that thing we just repaired and restored put back up in here, you know, for the keys. The Tormat Electrical Selector. Yeah, we want to get that in there first, then we'll go ahead and put this in there. So there's where we stand right now. My initial thoughts for the next item to work on was to finish up our selectomatic mechanism. You know, get this diode. I've got the diode just kind of hanging here on that terminal. Get that put in, but that's, you know, that's a 5-minute job. And then I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and we'll finish that up, and we'll go ahead and work on the amplifier, change the capacitors out. But our good buddy Brendan he wants to do something else. And you know, he's been patiently sitting by the sidelines watching me work on this, you know, this jukebox cabinet. He's an electronics guy. I know it's been killing him to sit there and patiently wait. You see, the man has no patience. He told me one time, instantaneously is about as slow as it ever gets for me. He's right, you know. So we're gonna, since he has sat on the sidelines patiently waiting, watching me do this dull, boring stuff that he really doesn't care about, he said maybe we should try working on one of these. We need to get this done. And it doesn't make any difference to me, because one item or another item, it just, they all got to be fixed sooner or later. So what the heck, you know. He wants to work on the SPU-1 unit, which is a, what do they call this stupid thing? It's called a single pricing unit. This is the single pricing unit, SPU-1. Now, some of these jukeboxes have credit accumulators. This one has the SPU-1. Now, what happens is when they drop their coins in, this thing keeps track. Make it simple and basic as I can. This thing keeps track of how many coins were dropped in and how many credits the person will get in songs for how much money they put in. Does that make sense? Yeah, just a credit deal, and it racks up those song credits through a series of relays plus this credit counter here. It racks them up, it adds them up, and then as the songs are selected on the keyboard, it counts back 1, counts back 2, counts back 3, until you get back to zeros, and you can't access any more songs because you didn't pay for any more songs, okay? This is kind of an interesting deal, I'll tell you what. I do not intend to take this apart. All I intend to do is really clean it. And Brendan sent me the manual we have does not have the theory of operation in it for some reason. I don't know why. It does have the schematic and the drawing, you know, the parts drawing, what's what on here. But it does not have the theory of operation. But now Brendan has sent that to me, and I think I brought it out with me when I came out. Yeah, it's right here. He found it somewhere. I don't know where he found it, but you know, he has his ways and means just like everyone else does. If I can get this stupid thing to flip over. Here it is right here. This tells all about how this thing works, you know. And then the drawing breakdown in the book. Well, I'll go over that as time goes on. But the first thing we're going to do, as usual, is we're going to clean contacts. There's a lot of contacts on this thing, just like there is on the selectomatic mechanism. We're going to check out all the wiring, make sure everything's cool, clean the relays. I don't think I need to spray this thing with any cleaner right now. It looks pretty darn clean. I hate to do that because there's so much in there that could be affected by the spray. I don't know. Anyway, there's a bunch of contacts that need to be cleaned. We'll take care of that as time goes on. So, Until next time, we'll go ahead and end. Well, next time we'll pick it up here, and I'll show you what I've accomplished on it at that time. I don't expect this to take a whole lot of time. I'll discuss this pretty much in depth with Brendan. You know, the whole time I've been working on the cabinet, I haven't had time to really get into the schematics and all that other stuff. He has. He's studied the schematics. He's read about all this stuff while I'm painting and de-rusting and all that crap. So this has kind of been a big old team effort, okay? I hope you like what you've seen so far. And we'll just cut this one off. I think it was it Ron C? Yeah, he says, I think he initially predicted 45 videos. I told him, nah, 46. Well, it's probably going to be over 50. But I told everybody right from the beginning, this is going to be a very long project, and I am not going to rush it. We've done well so far. Let's just keep the ball rolling in the right direction, okay? Until next time, this is John. One more thing, so as not to disappoint our good subscriber, AM station engineer, Tim, he always looks forward to the one more things at the end of my videos. I didn't know he did that. There may be others out there that look forward to that. I don't know. Someone might say, this guy ever going to shut up? You know, that's okay. I don't mind. All right. We're going to do it again this time, only this time it's going to be the tip of the week. Tip of the week, guys. Pay attention. What is the basic difference, or the difference, between this terminal strip and this terminal strip? Okay, what's the difference between those two? Well, I'm going to tell you what the difference is. One of them is an isolated terminal strip, the other is not. This terminal strip right here, let's use this one. This is an isolated terminal strip. You'll see that the ground is not, the mounting tab or the ground is not connected to any of these tabs. These are all free from the ground. Those are isolated. This is an isolated terminal strip, okay? Now this one over here, you'll see that this mounting tab or ground is in fact connected to one of the terminals. So this is a non-isolated terminal strip. I'll give you another isolated terminal strip, this one here. The only thing you can do is run a screw through the center to mount this on. Not connected to any grounds, anything else. This is an isolated terminal strip. So there are, you know, it was interesting, this subject came up one time in the Antique Radio Forum, and a lot of the old hands chimed in. We were talking about isolated versus non-isolated terminal strips, and a lot of the old guys chimed in, what the heck is that? What is a isolated terminal strip? They had never heard of that term. So you can actually order these things by isolated or non-isolated. Keep that in mind, okay? Your tip of the week.